The honourable member for Regina Leuven.
Mr. Speaker, the Phoenix payroll system began as a Conservative scheme to cut costs and cut corners by replacing complex federal government payrolls with off-the-shelf software from IBM. The Conservatives decided to operate this new system from Miramichi, New Brunswick, for political reasons. The goal was to replace jobs lost due to the removal of the Firearms Centre, even though experts on federal payrolls were not in Miramichi. The Liberal government went ahead with implementing this ill-conceived scheme despite many warnings of problems. The government rushed ahead with Phase 2 of Phoenix even after problems were uncovered with Phase 1. The Liberal government removed the old payroll system that was functional without having established that the Phoenix system was working properly. Mr. Speaker, this summer, the government had to acknowledge that some 80,000 federal public employees had been paid incorrectly or not at all as a result of problems with the Phoenix pay system. Some of us wondered why the government did not start writing checks. Of course, the Government of Canada has the ability to issue checks. Indeed, every federal employee's first payment comes in the form of a paper check. But the Liberals assured us that Phoenix would be sorted out by the end of October. When the Minister of Public Services appeared before the Government Operations Committee on September 19th, I asked whether the government was on track to meet that deadline of October 31st. And the minister assured our committee that the government was on track to meet that deadline. Well, Mr. Speaker, October 31st has come and gone. On November 16th, just last week, the government acknowledged that there were still 18,000 unresolved Phoenix cases from that original backlog. That's nearly a quarter of the backlog that has still not been fixed. The government has presented no timeline to deal with those remaining cases in the backlog, and the government has presented no plan to address the fact that employees will have incorrect figures on their T4 income tax forms if these cases are not resolved by the end of the calendar year, which is now just a few weeks away. In addition to this backlog, new problems with Phoenix are cropping up every day. The government has decided to say that that's just not meeting their service standard as opposed to admitting that it's an addition to the backlog. Mr. Speaker, also on September 19th, the minister said that she would appear again before the Government Operations Committee around October 31st to update us on the government's progress with resolving the Phoenix pay system. 3 weeks later, the minister has still not appeared before our committee. So I hope, Mr. Speaker, that the parliamentary secretary will be able to provide us with some answers this evening.
The Honourable Parliament Secretary to the Minister of National Defence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and appreciate that this issue is of some vexation to the Minister, and she finds it completely unacceptable the way in which this matter has rolled out. Public Services and Procurement Canada is taking decisive action on a number of fronts to identify and solve the pay issues. In terms of staffing, 4 temporary pay units in Winnipeg, Gatineau, Montreal and Shawinigan were set up and staffed to handle employee cases. The employees at these pay units, as well as those in the Public Service Pay Centre in Miramichi, are putting in long hours to see that their colleagues across the country receive the pay that they have earned. The Minister deeply appreciates their effort. The Minister personally visited Miramichi, most recently just 2 weeks ago. Action has also been taken to make sure that public servants know how to use Phoenix. Employees across the Government of Canada have received additional training on how to submit their pay requests into Phoenix, and it's just a fact that planning for the implementation Phoenix should have included more training in advance. Online informational tools, technical guides, frequently asked questions are constantly updated, and the Phoenix system itself undergoes constant refinement, based in part on feedback from human resources staff and other users. The goal is greater efficiency so that cases can be resolved more quickly. As a result of these efforts, and as employees become more accustomed to the system, we are seeing higher productivity. It is true, as the honourable member suggested, we did not meet. The department did not meet its October 31st deadline to eliminate the backlog of employee cases. The cases that remain are those that are complex, requiring research to track down missing steps, and manual input by compensation advisors. Many, if not most, of these cases existed before Phoenix was introduced, and dedicated effort is underway to resolve these cases as quickly as possible. At the same time, the government has taken a number of measures to alleviate the pressures on employees who have experienced pay problems. For example, employees can request emergency salary advances through their own departments. A repayment process has been set up that ensures those who have been overpaid as a result of pay issues can choose a repayment options that best suit their needs. For employees who have incurred out-of-pocket expenses as a result of missing pay, such as financial penalties for missed or late payments, Treasury Board has put in place a claims process and a form that can be found on Canada CA website. Our goal is to reach a steady state where pay requests are processed consistently with minimal errors and in a reasonable time period. Many people have worked long hours to get us to this steady state. We're indebted to them, and we will get there. Again, on behalf of the Minister, Mr. Speaker, these issues are unacceptable to the Minister. Thank you.
The honourable member for Regina Leuven.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the Minister has not shown up at committee to address Phoenix, and now the Parliamentary Secretary for Public Services has not shown up to this evening's adjournment debate. I believe that an important part of showing leadership and taking ownership of the situation is actually being present, not hiding behind the Deputy Minister in public presentations, not having another Parliamentary Secretary come forward during an adjournment debate. So what did we hear from the Parliamentary Secretary for National Defence? We heard about temporary pay centres. We know the government is spending almost $50 million on those. We heard about compensation to employees who've missed bills as a result of not receiving the money they've earned. The government admits that it has no estimate as to how much that is going to cost. So Phoenix remains a huge boondoggle. The government hasn't provided any sense of when it's going to be fixed or how much it's going to cost to fix it. I hope that the Parliamentary Secretary for National Defence can provide some answers during his final minute. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of National Defence.
I regret, Mr. Speaker, that I'm not going to make the honourable member very happy tonight. The Minister finds that there is no question that this is an unacceptable situation. Her priority remains to ensure that employees get paid in a timely fashion, and she asked me to thank all of the employees who are working tirelessly to try to rectify the situation that is not of their own making, that this is, as I say, unacceptable, but it is also something on which there are a number of people that are working on it furiously and for which we are deeply grateful. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk, Interlake, Eastman.
No, thank you,